So that's one of the things that I've been focused on of late. I have another that I'm working on as well with this guy named Jeremy Hales, who
Mhm.
has a show called What the Hales. And he's not as egregious as Dinesh, but he's done some things that are very questionable. And he used to be just, and he is a almost like Storage Wars, where they go to the storage places and they buy the storage places and they get all the treasures out of the storage places. That's how
Mhm.
he started on YouTube. And he did okay with that. He still does okay with that. And that part of what he does is entertaining. But he decided, to get into a spat with his neighbor, and he realized that the spats and the legal stuff were drawing him 4 and 5 and 6 times as many viewers uh, than than he had with his storage stuff. So he's getting 50,000 viewers for the storage stuff. He's getting 250 or 300,000 viewers for the other stuff for these neighbor spats. And so he's got a whole little echo chamber of other YouTubers that talk about the case. And the case that he has against his neighbors is basically a baseless case. It's a he said, she said defamation case, which could be resolved, like I said, in 30 minutes with a good judge. But the problem that I have with this guy, and I just put the article out yesterday, is about his anti-Semitism.
Mhm.
He was called, and him and everybody in his group calls the attorney Bruce Matzkin for his neighbor who's Jewish. They call him Deuce Foreskin. They basically they've told him, we want you to come to Christ. You have a big nose. They talk about making a bobblehead nose of Bruce. And so I have Rabbi Jacob Belinsky, who's also
Mhm.
a family court a person who's an advocate and everything else. But Rabbi Belinsky actually opined about the statements that were being made by Jeremy Hales and some of the other people in his orbit. And he said that this is anti-Semitism. This is the denigration that you see that allows for racism and hate and bigotry to propagate. And they've normalized it. They go around and they call this guy Deuce Foreskin, and it's no good. It's
Mhm.
really no good. So I'm going to hold this guy's feet to the fire a bit too, because listen. I don't mind him going and having, if he has a real legitimate grievance in a case, and covering that and everything else. But what they had is they realized that Amber Heard and Johnny Depp made everybody a lot of money on the YouTube, these content creators. So they're trying to create their own little Amber Heard, Johnny Depp type moments, and they're using these court cases to drive content. And I don't mind that if it's a real court case, but to do something contrived, number one, and to be anti-Semitic in the process, number two, it's not something I'm going to stand for. And Mike Volpe, who's my podcast mate, he's Jewish, and he actually his family and he escaped from the Soviet Union when he was young, for the Jewish persecution there.
Mhm.
Uh, and so to think that, you can just go out there and say these things, especially if you're a YouTube influencer that has millions of viewers, or a TikToker that has millions of viewers. And what you're doing is you're normalizing bigotry and hatred. And that's not right. That's
Mhm.
not right. And it becomes a problem when these people are in that area, and they're doing this type of stuff. So that's a lot of what I'm doing with the cancel culture right